You know, there's an old joke in New Brunswick and across Canada. When you come from Big River, you got to be big. And this guy was one of the biggest influence on Aboriginal hockey in the history of the original six leading into the WHA and expansion. So we're going to talk about the legend and I think a very underrated player, Jim Neilson. Now, James Anthony Chief Neilson, born November 28, 1941, and of course that's what I call it Central Saskatchewan or North Central Saskatchewan, Big River, Saskatchewan. He played in the NHL for a number of seasons, including his best years with the New York Rangers, later with the California Golden Seals and the Cleveland Barons, and now he completed his career with the later incarnation of the Edmonton Oilers and the WHA. Now, in his NHL career, he played a total of 1,023 games, very, very durable. He would score, but not very often. He ended up with 69 goals and 299 assists. But what really stood out with Jim, he was basically as consistent as any defensive player that the Rangers had. He played the NHL from the 63 season, again, toward 78 in that last campaign with the Gretzky Oilers in 79. Now, an inductee in Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame in 2018. He was a big dude, 6'2", 205. And, of course, in that book we're quoting a lot, in the 2009 book, 100 Ranger Greats, he was considered number 42 on the stat line. Now, he became the heavy prominence. He was undrafted, of course, because there was no draft then, with the Prince Albert Mintos of the SJHL. Now, his third season with Prince Albert was his biggest offensive campaign with 46 points in 59 games. Now, he moved on to the Kitchener Beavers of the EPHL, but eventually broke into the Rangers lineup in 63 with 16 points in 69 games. Now, his consistency with the Rangers lasted, into the Esposito, not the Esposito era, but the pre-Esposito era, lasted, Gilbert, Rattel, Brad Park, and all that. He was very consistent as a defenseman. But what stood out for me in 1969, he had probably one of his best seasons ever. He put together, ladies and gentlemen, 44 points in 76 games, including 10 goals. He would average 5 to 10 goals a season. But that year, he really opened out. Now, moving on to California, which a lot of Rangers fans were disappointed on, wasn't really working with California because he was injury plagued in the second season. He moved on to the Cleveland Barons when they shifted. And in 78-79, in a weird twist of fate, he was playing on a team with Wayne Gretzky, who at the time was, I think, 17. And, not too often you see a 38-year-old player with a 17-year-old in a WHA. And for some reason, I like to check into that, didn't have a chance to play in the playoffs for the Oilers that year. So final totals, like I said, in the playoffs, he scored 1 goal in the playoff, and that was in that infamous 67 playoff for the Rangers, where they had some difficulty expanding on their talent. But 72, again, he made it to the Cup final that year, and he played 10 games in the playoffs with 3 assists. Now, the question is, because of his impact on Aboriginal sport, should he be considered for the Hockey Hall of Fame? I don't think so. I think provincial-wise or an Aboriginal association could recognize him, but he doesn't have the statistics to follow up, and no Stanley Cups really hurts him for a possibility of induction because, he only played 16 years, and 1,000 games is enough to say very good quality player, but just misses out on the Hall because of factors beyond his control. But I heard when he was in Prince Albert that 1960 season, he became like what they call a fan favorite for obvious reasons. So that's the legend of Jim Neilson. Thanks for listening. Bye.